Blessings, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Hitstreak. I am your man, Nick Hyder. And folks, I've got an extra special treat for you here in the Hit Lab joining me today. And as you guys know, our background in insurance runs deep, but we have not had a lot of insurance executives and very successful people in the industry on the podcast to date. So I'm really excited to bring you guys the guests that we have today. So buckle up. It's going to take me just a minute to get through the intro because my man has been extremely successful doing what he's doing, right? So first of all, he's been doing this since 2010. It's a very long time. So he's that's something very important when you're picking a professional in this space. They got to have the track record of success, right? So folks, check it out. Help me welcome the founder and CEO of All Things Insurance Group. He's an extremely sought after insurance business coach and a extremely sought after keynote speaker. My man, all the way from North Carolina, Pete Fournier. How we doing, baby?
Awesome, Nick. I appreciate you having me. It's great to finally be here. I've been checking you out for years, and it's kind of nostalgic a little bit to be in this room. It also looks a lot bigger online.
That's right. That's right. The magic of cinema.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And high quality production.
No doubt.
Yep.
No doubt. Well, likewise, dude, I've been keeping up with you online for a long time, and like just, we're going to get right into it here in just a moment, but I just wanted to say, like, when it comes to your content, there's something brilliant about it because it's, especially when you first got started, it was so simple. Like, everybody makes excuses about why they can't do certain things. And dude, you, like, first of all, I know the schedule that you running your own shop, right? So it's dusk till dawn and more. So, but you had to drive to and for back to appointments, offices, workouts, pick up kids, all those things. And you just made awesome content right there in the car.
That's it. There's no excuses. And as you probably could tell, my first video in 2015, 2016, the production quality was absolutely terrible because it was on like an iPhone 7. But yeah, make time when you got time.
First hit of the day right there, baby. All right. So you had a clip. You have a clip online. The last time we checked, it had been watched 67,000 times. All right. So, and this is a fun little myth buster or something that's extremely important to talk about in the industry itself. So we're going to go on ahead and feed all you insurance folks out there right out the gates, right? So the purpose of the clip was the difference between what's better, captive versus an independent agent, right? So let's get your take on that, and what did we learn from the clip?
Yeah, we learned that it's one important debate topic. Everybody seems to be talking about it online, and mostly in the negative connotation to either side. Captive's better, independent's better. But it's more so, I think about it like an insurance product, like different strokes for different folks. So everybody, it's better for some and not better for a lot of others. But I almost took the tonality of it that captive had a lot more benefits than independent, even though we see maybe higher comps or freedom or what, all these cheesy things that we promote to recruit people. But the captives taught diligence, respect. My bosses were really scary in the captive world. They put you on a schedule. They teach you a regiment. You can't not work because you didn't have this freedom. So starting out that way almost helped me achieve success faster than the latter of going straight independent.
Do you feel like, because, in the world of insurance at USHA, we were captive agents, but the way that Troy had structured basically like the access to all the products that we had, it sure didn't feel captive, right? Yeah. But not all of them are that way, right?
Yeah, like the first two, and I won't name names, but the first two that I started at, one was a little bit more nimble, but I was young. I started at 21, so I didn't know anything about anything when it came to insurance back in 2010. So slightly more nimble company. The second one, though, when I went full-fledged, full-time, graduating college and going right into insurance, they were as captive as you can get. So, the nice, terrible product suite that you were mandated to sell. But you had to be a good salesperson because you had no alternative route to go to. So it really honed in on your sales skills. Right? And then two, you had to get in front of people. So you were working 60, 70, 80 hours a week because it was harder, arguably, than being independent.
Big time. You've been, we started in 2013. You got like 4 years on us in the business, and it's in 2015 and 16. That's when you kind of started crossing state lines, doing more things over the phone, sharing and with sharing your screen online that way and whatnot. But before that, I bet you don't know I'm going to ask you this. I'll give you a few minutes to prepare. So I'll tell you a funny little story.
Sure.
When I first started, and I really didn't know exactly what I was doing, right? So you just thrown right into the fire, and you figured out why you're doing it. But I'm going to these. I set an appointment to go see a couple at their home, right? So that was what we did back then. You drove all over as far as you had to go to get there.
Yep.
If you had 3 or 4 appointments in a day, that was dynamite because you're in the car all day. So I'm driving to punch it in the GPS, and this is 2013 or 14, and it's 57 minutes away or something like that. So I was like, oh man, well I'm gonna go. So I go and I turn on. I've never been to this part of Tennessee before, and I'm turning on this little almost like dirt road, and I'm and then all of a sudden the GPS is lost, and it doesn't know, the house isn't really registering anything. And I stumbled upon 3 little beat up little southern looking homes, they look like Little House on the Prairie type thing. and I was like, I guess this is it. So I start knocking on doors, and I knocked on the first one, the right door the first time. But when that lady opened that door, I thought her house was on fire because of the cigarette smoke. It overtook me, and she invited me in, and about the first time I took a step in, her little dog is all over me and humping my leg, and I'm like, oh man, this is really weird. And then her husband walks out and with no shirt on, and he's got a scar from the top of his chest to the bottom of his stomach where he just had heart surgery. He's carrying an oxygen tank, and he's the one that's doing the smoking.
It sounds about right.
So, needless to say, there wasn't a lot I could do to help those folks out, except for just point them in the right direction and whatnot. And there's some guaranteed issue products that you're going to want to look at and whatnot. But it was a lot more now if that happens, you can pivot a lot faster.
Yeah.
But that was 2 hours of basically wasted time, and there was no way to know. The industry's changed a lot, was the point, right?
Yes.
So I bet you have a story.
Oh yeah, I got some more stories. So I went hunting for an app. So this was a story I told at a conference 4 or 5 years ago, but showed up at this dude's house. And here, a quick tidbit without anyone having to pay for coaching. I always ask at the end of a presentation, who do you know in the same or similar financial situation that you're in, to get that one ultimate referral? Because if someone can afford $1,000 a month, they probably hang out in a circle of other people that can afford $1,000 a month. So I asked this guy, Mark, in Bumble, Ohio, and he tells me he tells me to get in his truck, and we're going to drive over there. I was 23, 24 years old, texting my parents this may be the end. Here's where I'm at GPS-wise, right, just in case you need to find the body. So I show up, and this dude's raking me over the coals, and he's like, come back tomorrow, 6 o'clock in the morning, bring a case of beer, and we'll talk about insurance. I would have done anything for an app at 23 years old. So Absolutely. I was like, screw it. So Ohio had those drive-throughs, was driving back to my hotel, got a case of Busch Light, went back to the house, 6 o'clock in the morning, like you asked. They met me at the door, full camo, bows and arrows, everything. And they were like, get in the truck. And I was like, the fuck? So I get in the truck, I'm holding a case of beer on my lap. We're going down this dirt road through the woods, whatever. We spent 6.5 hours in a deer stand. I've never shot. I grew up in North Jersey, bougie place. I've never even seen a bow and arrow.
Me neither.
Let alone shoot one. So they told me, hey man, finally this buck comes out, and they're like, go ahead. I'm like, go ahead with what? So draw the damn thing. I shoot it right basically in the ass. Thing rears up, another arrow immediately flies off, hits the damn thing in the neck or the heart, wherever you're supposed to hit a deer. Thing runs down, drops dead, whatever. Guy jumps out of the tree stand, the brother that I'm supposed to be selling as a referral, with this big ass knife, guts the thing, does the whole thing. We drag the tarp back, put it back in the truck. It's 4:30 in the afternoon now. We go back to the house. I write the damn app. So that was 8.5 hours of my life, and super traumatizing at the same time. But I walked away with $1,000.
That's
so
right.
Hashtag worth it.
Dude, that may be one of the coolest ones I've ever heard. That's incredible. That's great. Folks, they didn't know I was going to ask him. You know what I mean? So incredible. So well, you run an independent firm, right? So You had not everybody, again, when it comes to captive versus independent, the captivity is based on the carrier, man.
Yeah.
100%. The support system they got, the product, how they, the product portfolio, all those things. So you're killing it as an independent, right? So all things insurance group. Talk to me about how you went from agent to like, now you're launching agencies. Like I've got here that you've got over 400 agents nationally, right? So dude, that's incredible.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I know sometimes you feel like a small fish because comparison kills, you hear about these agencies with 10, 20, 30,000 people, but you really don't need that many. Like 400 is a lot,
man,
to manage. But yeah, on the independent side, I still do a lot of personal production. I think we have a license, you and me together to literally print money. So when we want things, like we talked earlier about potentially building out a studio like this in our place in Wilmington, et cetera. When you want to do things like that and spend the money, I was always of the mindset of I'd rather go get it than spend the one that I have. So when we started doing our own internal leads and stuff like that, it was all based around personal production. So I personally produced hardcore probably from 2010. Well, I was interning, so we'll say 2011 till about 2016. I hired some really bad apples because I was good at selling the dream versus actually living it at like 23, 24 years old. You get the fake Gucci belt instead of the real one and stuff. So I brought on 2 or 3 guys out of 40, and they wrote a bunch of bad business. And I got slapped with about $48,000 and change in roll-up debt in October of 2013. So I had to move back home to Jersey. I was living in Ohio. I had to live in my parents' basement, living off of ramen and Cheetos, and that was it.
The dream.
Yeah, the dream. And it took me about 18 to 20 months to get out of that because I only had 2 or 3 insurance carriers, and all of them were carrying a debt balance. So everything that I personally produced went to debt. So I got a W-2 job at another insurance agency while I was selling at night. And then eventually around 2014, 2015, I got out of that shit, paid off credit cards, all that stuff, and then started to hit my stride and was actually making real deposits. And I saw real money coming in. I had real Gucci belts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And going through that turmoil, I knew I could teach anybody, as long as they were teachable, to be able to make the same amount of money, if not more, that I was doing. So I went for a hardcore push 2015, 2016, 2017, started posting content, started selling the dream online to the masses in terms of like, call it what you want, but some people want to see the car, the watch, the whatever. So posting that stuff online, as well as my bank account deposits, so I could show that it's real. And then I got hired to be president of sales for an IMO that was actually in North Carolina, and that's how I got there from Jersey. And I didn't love the corporate side. I love the guys. They were all good dudes, but kind of like what you were telling me before production, like they want you to do things a certain way, and I just couldn't. So we parted ways, and then I started All Things Insurance Group in November of 2011.
I love the brand, dude. I love the brand.
Thank you. It's good for SEO, that's for sure. And we started with 14 at that time and got to about 460 to date. Man. So I probably recruited about 10,000 agents, probably like yourself, over the course of 12, 13 years. You lose almost 95% of the people that you bring on. But you just got to keep pushing it and going through. It's like appointments. You go see 30 people and you close 5.
Yep.
Still make a good living.
That's
you recruit 10,000 people. You're not going to save everybody, but the 460 that you have, hopefully they're saved.
That's exactly right, man. It's the rolling joke around here is that how many, because we as when we were helping launch those agency owners their stuff, we were always investing heavily, whether it was through leads, training, or even licenses, non-resident licenses and stuff. So the running joke is there's thousands of non-resident state licenses running around that we paid for.
I don't want to think about it.
Yeah. And there's so many good people when you look back that should have made it, and I always hold ourselves accountable for that. Like, what could we have done more?
Yeah. It's always a learning experience from the agents that leave, that either you thought that they could be good or they were good, and then something fell off. Either it was my fault from a management standpoint, maybe I was too young, maybe it's their fault because they made too much money and they got lazy. But it's fun to reflect on that stuff, and it's a good learning experience, but it would also keep me up super late every night if I continued to think about it all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Why is, I firmly believe that, personally producing is important, extremely important when you're doing that. It's just, it's leading from the front, man.
Yeah.
So why is that such a, that's probably like one of the heartbeats of your success, like for all that growth. You know what I mean?
It's kind of threefold for me. One, it was more of like a kind of a screw you to the captive that I left, because I won a contest maybe summer of 2011. And it was, I got to go out with the regional Grand Poobah or whatever, because I wrote so much production, and they were going to close deals for me. It was like free money week. So we were going to go out in the field together all week, and I would just watch this guy rack up my bank account. We went like 0 for 20.
Oh, man.
And I was like, why am I even listening to you? You know what I mean? So I never wanted to be that guy, first and foremost. You're preaching from your ivory tower, and you don't know shit about actually producing belly to belly or over the phone. Two, like I said before, is expansion is important, and trying out leads or building studios or going on travel or recruiting trips. You need money, and you can't really rely on your agents 24/7 to pay your bills. Sometimes if you want to experiment on something, you got to pull up your bootstraps and go make it yourself. So that's two. And then three, our industry is ever evolving. New products, new carriers, so I mean, we have 77, I think, now carriers, which is insane. No one, I don't think, should have that many. But anytime they come and they're like, oh, this new whole life or this new Medicare or this new ACA plan or whatever, I learn it first. And if it's good, one, I'll roll it out to the distribution. But I got to know how to sell it, because I'm going to get 400 questions about it throughout the course of a week, month, whatever. So I think those three are what keeps me producing.
I want to thank all of our loyal fans that spread across all 50 states and 14 different countries. It's absolutely amazing. Folks, help us keep spreading the word, right? Share your favorite episodes with friends, and make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the Hitstreak on all digital platforms. Thanks again, and we look forward to more. Some of the stuff you put out online would be basically, when you watch it, it's sales training, and it's really, really good.
Thank you.
Okay, it's really, really good. And at the end of the day, you're a master at understanding that, like, the majority of the people for the core products that you guys are rolling out the most, the objections are pretty much, they're very common amongst most avatars for those products, right? So you have a great way of simplifying all those things.
Thank you.
When you're doing that. What is one of the most the most important pieces when it comes to just sales and objections in anything? Like when you're for us, it was just literally like, if the customer don't win, we don't win, man. So like, my job is to get you that W. My job is to put you in a place that, like, you're going to stay for a long time, because in insurance, that's what it's all about, right? That they keep paying premiums month after month, year after year. Eliminating the chargebacks, but more importantly, like, we're still getting paid on stuff we did in 2013. You know? And it's
same.
a beautiful thing. So what's one of the most important pieces when it comes to, like, I was trying to think of one of my favorite clips of yours when it comes to the selling, but like, I think one of the things is I'm glad you said that, all of our customers think that way, and so on and so forth. And I was like, oh, that's such a beautiful way to paint that picture.
Yeah,
right there.
almost like a feel, felt, found approach from, back in the early 70s and 80s. But one, people are bandwagon people. You have this nice podcast, I want this nice podcast.
That's
naturally, it's human nature. That's why people buy Gucci, Louis Vuitton, whatever, because they want to associate with other people that do that, right? So bandwagon approach. So when you use them as categories, and it might be mean to say, sorry client, but like, all seniors do this, all homeowners do this, all clients that are age 35 do that. But the other key component to that portion is, good salespeople address problems. Great salespeople create the problem and then provide the solution. So you're not going to get many objections, or I'm not going to give you many objections, if you created a problem in my life and then also provided me with the magic box that would solve all the problems. Doesn't matter how much that costs, I'm buying it. So learning how to do that is probably the most important thing that you can do as a salesperson.
Man, that's good. That's good. Talk to me a little bit about, for everybody knows that keeps up with us, that, we were, our portfolio was specifically health, and we had a whole lot of supplements and other type products that we could add on to that core health product, right? So yours is a little different though, right?
Yeah, so my whole goal at ATIG is creating Swiss Army knife agents because I think it's important. You need the renewal base, but you also arguably need life insurance and annuities for that upfront cash flow. I want a podcast studio. I got to go make $100,000. Annuities and life, you're going to make it like this as opposed to the trail for health. But I want them selling everything. I think it's really important, and my 2 cents is if you're starting in this industry, start with life insurance. 1, because it'll keep the lights on and get you upfront capital. But 2, it's a sales process and it's a grind. Everybody needs health insurance, no offense, right?
Yeah, they do.
But they need it. And it's you or the other guy versus no one. I mean, arguably everybody needs life insurance and I can make a justification for it. But that's a sale and you're ramming it down their throat. So I see a lot of the times, especially when I'm developing or I'm coaching or consulting agencies outside of mine, the ones that start with Medicare or sometimes ACA or whatever, the agents rest on their laurels a lot, and the cross-sellability is really hard for them because they can't ram that ancillary product or that life insurance product down the client's throat. Versus if you start with life and then you run into ACA, you're like, oh shit, this is so easy.
Yeah.
Or Medicare or whatever the case may be. So if you're thinking about getting into the industry, definitely learn how to sell life. I would say, your first 90 days, 6 months, go life. 1, because you got to pay your own bills. And 2, it'll force you to be a strong salesperson. You will absolutely annihilate the health space, whether it's ACA, Medicare, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Man, that's good. That is good. Are there any myths about the industry? And then I want to hear more about you going broke at 23 because, again, dude, first of all, you got in. I know you got in right out of school. I'll get to it in a moment. But so myths about the industry.
That it's easy and that everybody's killing it because online everybody's killing it. And then if I just got this is so mean, but I don't know if you're in these Facebook groups that are like cesspools in the insurance space. There's 10, 15, 20,000 agents. I've made public demands to quantify. Someone posts, hey, I just made $10,000. Show me your bank statement. I'll Venmo you $500. I won't even post it anywhere. Just send it to me. Here's my phone number. They won't do it. So the fact that everybody online is crushing it, everybody at conferences is crushing it. Most insurance agents don't make more than 35, 40 grand a year.
Right.
The business is not easy. But if you can survive the first 12 to 18 months, arguably 24, you'll crush. As long as you don't get lazy. But you get that first year seems like 10, I would argue. And most people aren't cut out for that.
Anytime you have an opportunity to have recurring revenue like insurance, and which, by the way, the insurance space has created more millionaires than any other industry on planet Earth.
Correct.
Last time I checked, right? So, but when you're buying into something that's going to pay you later for not having to do a lot, so it's the form of an investment, right? I think that's the missing piece with a lot of agents is they don't understand that first 12 to 18 or 24 months. Like, again, you have to build something that will pay you ongoing, So if that was a piece of real estate, how much did you have to, how many dollars and how much time and due diligence did you have to put in there? Sometimes my dad and I are working on a baseball complex that we've been working on for like 3-4 years. You know what I'm saying? And just to get it to the finish line. So that 12 to 18 or 24 months, that's the investment so that you can get a return on that recurring revenue down the road, right? And that's one of the hardest things to get people to understand. When I was recruiting all the time, I basically started every recruiting meeting or interview with hey man, I already know you're at rock bottom or else you wouldn't be here. Cause
it's a great line.
Not many people wake up to do this. You know what I'm saying? So when we got them, they were kind of at rock bottom. So it was really how deep can you dig? And how far are you willing to push to literally to change your life? It's crazy to me. I grew up wanting to be a New York Yankee, right? So, and after the minor leagues beat me up for a few years, then it was now what? And it took me 10 years of figuring out that I really don't know what I'm doing here, and I don't know who I am anymore. And I stumbled upon an opportunity to become an insurance agent, and I was almost ashamed to do it.
Yeah.
And it literally changed everything that we have today. Is because I made that decision because a great man built a company that benefited me and allowed me to be the best version of myself.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So for me, that's what the insurance agents industry does for me. But it is super hard. What's, 400 people.
The other antithesis of that though too, Nick, is it's hard. I think it's the cheapest business that you could start though.
Yes, it sure is.
What do you need? A license? You need a laptop, arguably, maybe a tablet, and you need your cell phone, which everybody has already. And that's it. And if you really wanted to, you could go cold door knock the entire neighborhood and make $1,000 in a day.
Dude.
So it's not expensive. You don't need a retail space or anything. You just need your phone.
That's right. And especially now with guys like you guys are training them and investing in, helping them out with data purchases and everything else, like teaching them how to market and leverage a CRM and everything else, dude. I mean, like, it truly is one of the cheapest ways to get into business for yourself. Man, that's awesome, dude. All right. So this is an unbelievable story. So when I started in insurance, the story is that they offered me the spot, but I had to pre-license that day and enroll in get my state exam scheduled and all that stuff.
See? Captives. Love it.
Captive. $300. Yeah. All it took. I didn't have it. So I was like, hey guys, I've been in here for like an hour. Can I run to the restroom real quick? And they knew. They're like, wait, are you leaving? and I was like, dang, they're on to me. I was like, no. I got to go to the bathroom, which it was a lie because I had to go to the parking lot to see if my dad would let me borrow his credit card for the $300. And he gave it to me, but he told me that was the last time I could ever come to him for anything. So 32 years old. And I got a girl at home I can't afford to marry and a kid I can't afford to raise. And by the way, it took me like a gazillion times to pass the stinking exam for whatever reason. Yep. So like, I think the old lady that is so mean that nobody likes her sends me a Christmas card because we got close.
That's awesome.
We got close. So you got in 2010 right out of school.
Yep. Right. In school.
Oh, in school.
In school. Yeah. Senior.
Tell that story.
Yeah. December 2010. So it was halfway through my senior year. A couple of my fraternity brothers were in the space. I was like, if you guys are doing it, I'm smarter than you. I could go do it. Took me 1 try to pass life, 2 tries to pass health, which really pissed me off. And then I was in it. And then I remember going in the office and then being like, how many people you know? And I was like, I don't know, a couple hundred. And they were like, okay, call them. Like, that was it.
Prospect where you breathe.
That's it. Project 100 or whatever the hell they called it. You know what I mean? And you're doing fact finders with your fraternity brothers, trying to sell like $10 a month term policies, making them get full parameds. Like, it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life.
Yeah.
And once I got through that and went to the second captive full time, taught me how to work. Like, there's no such thing as harder work besides like blue collar. I'm not digging ditches, right? But in terms of sales prospecting, go work for a captive for 9 months and you'll learn what hard work is. Dialing from 7 to 10 to recruit, 10 to 3 to prospect, 3 to 10 in the field, and then wake up and do it again and have no days off. Lost a lot of girlfriends.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. Well, it's it's an unbelievable story, and one that, like, it's got to be inspirational for all the folks that you're helping out these days.
You would hope. I think either they take inspiration from it or they can't empathize with it because it's never happened to them. Which I don't wish that on anybody. I think people should go through hardship and turmoil to come out the other side and grow. I think that's important. But I wouldn't wish any 23-year-old to have 60, 70,000 left on his mortgage. I bought a condo that I shouldn't have. I bought a 1 Series BMW that I shouldn't have. And then I got smacked in the face with $50K of roll-up debt. And I was like, I don't even think I could. I just got my first Chase credit card again. Thanks, Chase Bank, if you're listening, because I rolled so many balances of credit cards with them because they kept giving me 0% interest. So I'd roll for 3 months and then it would come due and I'd be like, let's get another card, and you pay off a little baby balance and then keep rolling. But that really sucked and then taught me how to be better. But to my point, some people can't really put themselves in your shoes when it comes to that, or they're doing just enough to never have that pain point happen to them. Because growing is painful.
Yeah.
So if you start doing too much activity, which is a good thing, you're going to get speed bumps. And if you're staying average, that's probably why you've had no speed bumps.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right. As a man of faith too, like I always feel like when you're going through the hardest times that the Lord is preparing you for the next
Yes.
thing that he's about to bless you with, you know, but you got to be qualified to get those things. So,
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Man, there's so many ways we could take this stuff right here. So, all right, real quick, just a little fun little conversation. I know that you are you have great taste in watches, which is something that I'm hoping one day that will capture me. Like, I've never been much of a watch guy, but probably from the way I grew up, right? So Brad makes fun of me all the time. He says, "You wear fruit on your wrist." You know, and I'm like, yeah, but it keeps me from having to get my phone out of my pocket.
True.
When it pings all day long. So that's why I like it. But dude, you got a great watch collection. I know I've seen it online too. What are you wearing today?
Rolex Bluesy, two-tone Submariner. This is the 41 millimeter, so the new, slightly bigger one. But yeah, I'm a huge watch nerd.
All right, talk to him about your portfolio of watches, just because it's fun stuff.
We got a two-tone Bluesy. We got a blue Sky Dweller, which is, I'm a big Rolex guy. I have one Hublot right now, but I was a big fan of those, and then I realized they don't retain value, and I was like, well, shit, you learn.
That's right.
So I got a Hublot Big Bang. I have a Day-Date Presidential Green Dial. I have a Day-Date Presidential Diamond Dial. One's yellow gold, one's rose gold, because why not? I have a Root Beer. I got an Explorer 2 White Dial, and then I have a Sub No Date, which is my favorite watch because it's got the same birth date as my daughter.
Oh, that's awesome.
That card has her date of birth on it, which is sweet. Yeah.
That's killer, dude. Yeah. Well, speaking of family, right? So let's tell the folks about your family. And again, as an insurance agent, I can tell you right now, if you don't have support at home, it's a lot harder.
It is very hard. So super supportive girlfriend right now, almost 20-month-old daughter, which is fantastic. Super supportive ex-wife too, which is important to have at this juncture, because she was like with me through a lot of it. Stable parents, like super important to have any sort of base at home. And like, I lost a lot of relationships in the past to the business, and I've lost friends both intentionally and sometimes not intentionally to the business too. But it's important to have somebody that you can fall back on, whoever it might be. It could be spouse, significant other, parents, children. You know, we hire a lot of older agents. They got 18, 20-year-olds. Like, your kids should be supporting your venture too.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So all that stuff is super important. If you're running in this game, or really any entrepreneurial game, alone, that's a scary thought. Yeah.
The Hitstreak is powered by our partners at HitLab Creative Studios. Whether it's launching your brand new podcast, rebranding your current podcast, or taking advantage of any of their other content packages specifically for your social media needs, the HitLab is a one-stop shop for you. Visit hitlabstudio.com for more. Let's see. So a lot of, I'm still amazed at, what we do in the processing world. And when you figure out that businesses are being underwritten by banks and all these, like, I'm amazed at how many things that we do today that are not insurance related, but we're using all the lessons that we learned in insurance. It's amazing how parallel in business, that basically, like, we did everything that a founder does except for the product, product development, everything else we did. So talk to me a little bit about how, I just honestly, man, as a businessman, entrepreneurship's learning how to set goals, working through failures and roadblocks, all that type of stuff. Give me some gold nuggets for everybody out there about let's start with benchmarks and goals, and then we'll get into some marketing stuff.
So I make all of our agents, well, make is a strong word because they're all 1099s, right? Don't sue me, state of North Carolina. You got to be careful nowadays. I can't call them employees. But we have them do a goal-setting exercise on the first of every month, because I've been doing it since late 2018. And instead of writing I hope I'm a millionaire or whatever the case may be, we do their why, because that's the most important thing at the top of their list. So it could be kids, spouse, financial freedom, whatever it is. But more importantly, why are you with ATIG? Why are you learning from Pete? Why are you in the insurance space? Like, why are you not selling Ferraris or Big Pens or whatever? So their why. Then I make them do their fixed cost bills on a monthly basis. So your rent, your utilities, all that stuff. If you get a massage once a month, like, if that's a fixed cost, put that in, because you'd be so surprised how many entrepreneurs out there have no idea how much their life costs, which is insane. Then we have their like stable income. So if I was making this, I might have stress in my life, but it's not financially related. So I'm stable. I feel pretty comfortable. Then their wealthy zone income. Where would they feel like a big swing in you know what? Every day when they get out of the bed and their feet touch the floor. So where do they need to be? Then 1 to 2 selfish purchases that they're going to make in the next 12 months for themselves, and they have to buy it. And I want specific. If you want a new car, what brand, what type, what color is it, right? All that stuff. Build the damn thing, right? Don't tell me you want a new pair of shoes. What you want, Louis Vuitton shoes? Do you right? That kind of thing. So 1 to 2 selfish purchases, and more importantly, it has to be for you, because a lot of people are running around with like all this selfless stuff, and like my daughter's my most prized jewel in the world, right? But if dad wasn't slightly selfish when it comes to clothes, how I look, what I drive, whatever, I may not necessarily be happy giving everything away to her. You know what I mean? So 1 to 2 selfish purchases for themselves. And then 1 to 2 benchmarks that once they hit it and achieve it, they can't go backwards. So for example, in 2020, mine was flying first class. I hate traveling. I mean, I enjoy it for fun, but I hate the process of getting on a plane. Like, I want a jet one day. I hate getting on a plane. I hate going through TSA, all this stuff. And I'm a little claustrophobic. So first class helps me with that. So 2020, I was like, my benchmark is if I'm on a plane, I don't care if I'm going from Wilmington to Charlotte, which I did for a music festival. I'm flying first class, 30-minute flight. I don't give a shit. So once I hit it, I can't ever fly economy ever again. It could be I want to drink Pellegrino constantly and nothing else. And once you hit that benchmark, you can't go backwards. And 10, 15, 20 years from now, because most insurance agents are not looking to the future, you're going to look back on your life and be like, holy shit, my life's pretty awesome because I hit all these benchmarks. And then the final portion, and when we get off the call, I make them do homework on this, is what they have to do to achieve everything. If they're a personal producer, how many leads do I have to buy? Do I have to have Pete buy me leads? How many calls? How many presentations, sales, all that stuff? If they're an agency manager, how many people do I have to recruit? How much production do they have to do, etc.? And they break it down. If you do that once a month, like I've looked back at like my goal setting exercise, and like in 2021, I never had a presidential before. I was like $45,000 watch. Like, what the fuck am I doing? But I really wanted one, you know? And I put like in 2020, late 2021, I think it was like June, July, something like that. I want a green dial olive day date in rose gold. And 4 months later, I got the damn thing. And not even conscious about it. But I wrote it down every month. And 4 months later, boom, it showed up. In 2018, kudos to our main man, Brad Lee, I wrote down in 2018 that I was going to be on Dropping Bombs. And in 2019, I was.
Wow.
So that, and I didn't even know Brad. But I followed him. I listened to his podcast, etc. Hitstreak was on the goals in 2022, I want to say.
Right on.
So, like, being able to push that stuff out there, Coach Burt, meeting him was in there somewhere. And, like, all this stuff came to fruition. But you have to be diligent about actually mapping out that portion of your life. And keep it consistent. And if something falls to the wayside, hey, I don't want that Range Rover anymore. I really want this car. Get rid of it.
That's right.
And change it out, you know, because your styles change, your benchmarks change, your lives change every day. So
absolutely. The best at anything is the one who hits the smallest target, right? So you know what I mean? That's a big thing. And Brad said that when we were talking that day at the things, like, you know, talk to me about your goals. We had a really great conversation the first time I met him. And we were right in the middle of shopping for the home that we're in now. And, you know, he asked us like, well, tell me about it. And I can't remember what I said. It was probably something stupid. And then my wife gave him a decent little description. He was like, no. I want to know like where what chair is aimed at what TV. He's like, so if you had a jet, don't tell me what the jet is. Tell me what logo's on the seat. You know, like that specific awesome. of basically just mapping things out in visualization. Like, and it was the more like, it's funny. Derek Jeter grew up to be the shortstop for the New York Yankees. Well, guess what? Nick Hyder grew up just wanting to play professional ball, right? Which is what I did. But what I really wanted to do was play for the New York Yankees, but I didn't set the right goal. You know what I mean? So I achieved my goal. It just wasn't the right one. And it's, looking back, it's unbelievable how important that was. Maybe or maybe not. We'll never know if that could have happened. But, you know, I would say, as a gambler, I'd say, I'm going to put my money on Nick, and if I had the right goal, I would have figured it out. You know what I mean? So that's the, you know, so talk to me about the recruiting process. This is going to be fascinating for you. You can't give too much away.
Sure.
But like, I mean, I used to get really personal. And honestly, when we built this room, I started bringing people in their second final interview in our process, but I'd crank the lights up as hot as they'd go. So like they'd sit right over there, not far from where you're at. And dude, I mean, it was like they needed sunglasses to sit in here, and I wanted it hot. I wanted them squirming in their seat, and really just figuring out how far, just like in sports, you find out what their breaking point is.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So all right, so talk to me about the process when you're recruiting.
Yeah, so we've tried to, at least I have tried to automate the process more and more. So most important, if you're building an agency, get staff faster than you think you need staff. I just hired my first ops manager last year and didn't want to pay that salary. Like, that's an expense that sucks, but like it exploded everything in terms of productivity, offloading stuff. Like, that's important. She can oversee other staff, like admins and stuff like that. It's huge. So get staff. So a lot of the automation, and then she does a lot of the initial interview process now. But a lot of it is like setting up roadblocks for how hard it is to work with me. So more so, hey, you got to have this many licenses. You got to have this much in startup capital. You got to buy my playbook. And like, we sell it to coaching clients for $2,000. We only charge them the printing fee. It's like $47 or something like that. But if you can't swipe your credit card for $47, what are we doing?
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? So having all these little benchmarks leading up to the conversation with me and actually going through training has weeded out tons of people that probably I wouldn't have wanted to work with in the past anyway. What I've tried to do now is get better, like you were saying, in terms of more of a personal approach. I want to know your family life. I want to know why you want to do this. Like, money's cool, but I want to do it because I want to send my kid to school, or I want to do this because I want to get out of my grandma's house, or the why has to be associated with the money. You know what I mean? So I think that's important, and I've done a better job, because it used to be, and I'm sure you experienced this too, let's recruit a shit ton of people and just see who sticks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you just needed bodies. And now getting a more optimized approach and realizing that you can't want it more than they do. I did a lot of that, and I wasted a lot of money, even in recent years, where like, dude, you could be so good and you want to shake them, and they just don't want it. And you're lighting lead money on fire, or marketing money on fire, or phones, or whatever the case may be. So you start to get good after 10, 13 years of doing this, of reading people in the first 5 or 10 minutes and knowing immediately whether they're going to want it or not. Not if they can do it or not, because you could teach them that, but they got to want it.
You got to have some skin in the game. Troy used to always say, Nick, you're looking for people that aren't looking for a handout. They're looking for a hand up.
I like that.
I loved it.
Yeah, that's good.
He was amazing at those. So money is, it's just a tool, man.
That's it.
It's just a tool. Talk to me about how you've learned to use that as a tool in your business.
Oh, man. So we started an LOA program, which is more of like a captive side of things. And experimenting with that was a huge learning curve, because that fell into like, hey, I'm giving too much to people and they don't want it bad enough, so I'm lighting money on fire. So that's been huge. Office space, very important. Not in your early years. I went 6-7 years without just selling out of my living room. Like, it don't matter. But as you're growing, if you actually want to grow a formal business, having an office for either clients, recruits, and or both is important. And it's kind of like dressing nice. You know, people respect you more if you have a dwelling to come visit. So that was an important expense, one that I didn't want to incur, but did. And then just a lot of mass advertising, trying different stuff. Like, I don't mind going down the path of a specific lead resource or marketing or SEO campaign or something like that for a designated amount of time. It's important, one, to have a cutoff point to say, all right, I'm lighting money on fire. I got to cut it off. But at the same token, like, you got to gamble, because this whole thing it started out as a gamble. You got your license, you gambled. You went on your first appointment, you gambled. Like, you got to keep spending to gamble. And they're strategic investments. You know what I mean? If I go actually gamble, I'm playing blackjack because it has the best odds in the casino, right? And I'm decent at it. Same thing in business. Don't gamble on shit that you don't know anything about. At least go down the path of the things that you're close to be an expert in, and spend money on that.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. You've done an unbelievable job. And I would say, like, you're one of the more recognizable faces in the industry.
Oh, thank you.
Online. You know what I mean? And that's a huge compliment because again, there's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of agents nationwide, right? So, and you know, as far, you mentioned SEO earlier and stuff, like when you just look up insurance in the United States, you're going to be up there towards the top, based on track record and everything else. So you've done a great job of developing a personal brand.
I appreciate it.
Within the space. I want to stay there for a minute.
Sure.
Right. You know what I mean? Because that's, in my opinion. So I'm a client of brand builders here in Nashville, Tennessee. They're fantastic and have been for quite some time. As a matter of fact, the only regret I have about working with them is that I didn't do it like 5 years earlier.
Always.
You know what I mean? So, but it's amazing how when you really get into it, you find the statistics that like 58% of people are buying now from a company that has an established personal brand, repping it or behind it or whatnot. And like, I would say that's probably one of the most underutilized tools that all the agents associated with you are not using, not just from their own personal brand, but not leveraging yours.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So talk to me about why that's important and some of the steps you've taken to get where you're at today.
Yeah. So the importance of it is like, I don't follow Coca-Cola. You don't follow, maybe you follow Red Bull because they have a cool feed, but you don't follow your barber shop or whatever the case may be. You follow the person behind it. And I think so many agents want to separate, and I see this like as advice online all the time in Facebook groups and stuff. People want to separate business and pleasure. Like, oh, I have a separate business page from my, like, no one follows All Things Insurance Group. It's boring as shit. You know what I mean? But they follow Pete. And I'm constantly talking about my business as well as my family and friends and stuff like that, all in the same conglomerate, because one, you look like a real person. And two, it's way more entertaining for the follower. So that's helped tremendously. And the volume that you have to do is insane. Like I was posting maybe one video a week back in 2016, 2017 and getting no traction and being like, why, you know? But if you upped it, I try to do one a day on every portion of the platform. And it's hard. It's not an easy thing to do, but as you start making more money, you start developing a little bit more time. And if you don't have time, do like you said, and just film it in your car like that's I did back in the day. So I think that's the important of it. Steps I took, though, it's wild to watch. You ever sit down some days and you're like, how the hell did I get, like, how did I get right here with you? You know what I mean? And backtrack all the events that led up to it. It was the same thing with branding. So I followed Cardone for a long time. I paid $10,000, which I'm sure it's like $100,000 now. But back in like 2015, 2016, paid 10 G's, flew down to Miami, did a coaching call with him. He told me all the stuff that I probably knew already, but I just needed a kick in the teeth, you know? And I wound up buying a ticket because he's a great salesman for GrowthCon in the big stadium, and like maybe 2 years later. And I sat next to this husband and wife couple that just left a captive marketing company, and they went out on their own. They had like 3 or 4 clients, and I was like, screw it. How much is a retainer? And they were like, I don't remember what they said at the time. It's gone up since then. But I was like, all right, let's do it. I need a coaching website and I need an agency website, and let's make a Shopify store and let's just try all this shit. And I spent a pretty penny and got absolutely zero traction for like a year and a half. And you're like, oh my God, what did I do? But eventually, like, people started auto purchasing books and seminars and webinars, and because I kept posting, and they were finally, you know, you got to reach people a couple hundred times before they're like, hey, I'm going to buy from this dude. So we started it come to fruition, and maybe revenue didn't directly come out of it the first year or two, but it's exploded my business from a level of, one, consumerism, because some of our clients follow me, and I'm not the cleanest person online. I'm from North Jersey. I drop F-bombs every once in a while, you know what I mean? But I got 69-year-old Medicare clients that follow me and laugh and love it. So consumerism has helped. Agents has helped, obviously recruiting people to you, but also it helps you from a clout perspective. If you know what you're talking about, you're going to put it out there and be confident about it. So that's how I found you. That's how I found Brad. That's how I found Grant, Bert, all these people, because one, you're not afraid to put yourself out there. And two, you put yourself out there so many times on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. This dude obviously knows what the hell he's talking about. That's you know what I mean? So from a cloud perspective and elevating your circle, I think that's arguably the most important part of developing that brand for yourself. You get in way different rooms when you got some cloud online. Versus back in the day where you just had to know somebody.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Man, that's solid stuff, dude.
The Hitstreak is powered by Team Hider.
Team Hyder has been serving you for 11 years and has racked up over 20 national and local awards for excellence in all areas. When it comes to finding the right health plan, we need to consider your family's needs and your family's budget. That's what we do to serve you. To look further and to book an appointment, visit teamhyder.com. Folks, we're hanging with Pete Fournier, the founder and CEO of All Things Insurance Group, and we're going to get into a little bit about his coaching program, right? The coaching platform, which is fantastic. So this is you've got your agents that you have under your umbrella, but you also coach people that aren't under your umbrella, right?
Yep.
So let's talk to them a little bit about that, and let's start off with, like, if they were interested in getting coached by old Pete over there, like what give me the URL that they can go to.
Just Pete Fournier, F as in Frank, O-U-R-N as in Nancy, IER.com. So PeteFournier.com.
Perfect.
All my products are right online. You can, we do a weekly training call now for agents. Even I do it for my own team, but I invite anybody. It's like $39 a month, and you get on one Zoom a week with me for an hour. And we talk about literally all things insurance, ignore the pun. But it's a nice little break the ice, one. And two, some of these newer agents need training and they can't afford squat. So $39, like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? So they can start there and they can buy books and webinars. And I have a Lightspeed VT training module. About
the best.
The best. With about 80-something videos and modules on there for that. I actually came up with the idea of coaching. You watch the evolution of your business. Someone DM'd me on like Facebook in like, I don't know, 2015 or something like that, and was like, hey, you sound like you know your stuff. How much would it cost to spend an hour with you? And I was like, oh, $200, like an idiot, you know? I got a PayPal. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, I wonder if there are more people that would pay $200 to spend an hour with me. And now, luckily, the cost has gone up significantly as I've done more in my business.
That's
but so many agents need training and coaching that are not getting it from their mentors. And I think our business is it's a lot of bit incestual, where people are bringing in their brother and their sister and their mother and their cousin. Those people aren't going to leave their child. That's their upline. But they need help because maybe their child is an idiot and doesn't know how to sell insurance either. So I don't want you to break your contract. I don't want you to leave family or whatever the case may be. But come to the right place from someone that knows what they're doing. Right. You know what I mean? And, we have people that pay $200 and get all the training that they maybe need out of a book, and they're self-learners. And we have some people that pay management retainers for, 20, 30 grand a month to just keep me on retainer for their agency. So it's everywhere in between. And we want to work with you as much as you want or don't,
That's awesome, dude. Because it sounds to me like what's important to you is, one, obviously creating an amazing life for the agent, but more importantly, making sure that the customers get taken care of by a credible.
1,000%. Yeah. The training's so important. Obviously, you want yourself making money, your agents making money, but without the consumer, you have no business. So, and there's so many people running around screwing people nowadays. It's insane because any knucklehead can get an insurance license. So they just see dollar signs instead of people when they're visiting with their clients or prospects, and that's an issue.
So, PeteFournier.com is where they can go. Folks, open enrollment is right around the corner, right? So
for every product.
That's right. So first of all, if you're looking to get into the space, they can go to PeteFournier.com to begin an interview for that.
Yep.
And if they've already got a home somewhere else, but they just need a little additional support, quite frankly, at a very low cost. You know what I mean? So, but more importantly, they get community out of that, which is fantastic.
Yeah, they get a lot of peer-to-peer mentorship too, because it's nice to have, people that have been in the industry for 30 days with people in the industry that have been here for 30 years on the same Zoom call, which is nice.
That's killer, man. What, and is it on the same day of the week every week?
It is. It's Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern.
That's
so
awesome.
Never miss one.
That's awesome. Yep. So, folks, if you're looking to get in, you're like, let me check my calendar real quick. We'll pull over first, and excuse me.
Get off the treadmill.
That's right. All right. So, talk to me about, like, dude, honestly, being a keynote speaker is a skill. It is a skill. And the stuff I've seen online of you on stage, you just look like you're just right at home.
Appreciate it.
Is that something that, like how many do you do? Do you have a goal? It's like, is that a big part of your business? Is just something you do for fun to help out? How does that work?
More fun. A lot of it's insurance related. I've done some real estate conferences and other sales organizations, but most of it's for the insurance space because I like teaching sales tactics in my keynote, and outside of insurance, it's kind of tough to do. So it's more conceptual training than really a keynote speech for an hour. I was doing probably 12 or 15 a year. Cut back a little bit because your priorities change, but would like to get more back into it. Maybe one a month max for right now, but okay. I do enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. It came from a lot of I did a ton of musical theater back in the day, and if you can sing and tap dance and all this stuff in front of a couple hundred people, you could probably deliver a speech.
That's right.
So that's kind of where it stems from. If you want to hire great agents, go get some theater people.
That's what I'm talking about. All right. So as we start to get towards the end of this sucker here, I want to, a lot of folks might be listening today saying, I wonder if he's talking to me today.
Yeah.
All right. So and I've never done this before, and I should have. This will be a fun exercise. We'll do it together.
Sure.
What are the top three, let's just say, requirements to become a successful in that industry, and what are the top three requirements of a person to be successful in that industry?
I say it teachable, coachable, and accountable, but it should be in the opposite order. So if you have full accountability for yourself, and that means if you are down the dumps, if you are financially destroyed right now, take accountability for your actions. You're there because of you. I was there because of me. I made the wrong decisions, hiring people and spending too much money on stuff that I didn't need and all that crap, right? So it is your fault. So being able to take accountability for why you're in the chair opposite me, maybe interviewing in that point in time, but also you need accountability because I'm not going to be in the car with you. I'm not going to be next to you in the cubicle or wherever you're working. So being able to keep up with a regimented schedule on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, you have to do that for yourself first and foremost. Teachable and coachable, I think, is two different things. So I say both. Teachable because I got to be able to show you a script, a presentation, a product. You have to be semi-book smart. And I don't mean Harvard graduate. I just mean you have to be able to learn. You know what I mean? Did you graduate high school, hopefully? Maybe. So that part of the process, being able to retain knowledge is very important. And then coachable because you're never going to achieve your best, ever. I'm still learning, right? I'm good, but you're never at your best. So being able to take constructive criticism. Now, I'm not going to be mean to you, but I'm going to tell you when you screw up. So having that coachability aspect and never being, too big for your britches or thinking you know everything, because a lot of these agents will come in and know everything after 12 to 18 months, and that's frankly false. So accountable first and foremost, teachable, and then coachable in that order.
That's fantastic. And obviously confidence is a skill. Right?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And people should practice it. And Coach Burt actually, in a conversation with me, he defined it the best I've ever heard. He said, confidence is just being able to remember previous success. You know what I mean? And
Love that.
And at the end of the day, you control your own mind and you control your own thoughts. So are you remembering your previous successes? That's on you, man.
Yep.
And it's a skill to get good at that, right?
I tell you, plug to Coach Burt. That dude should write a dictionary.
I agree.
Because his definitions are on point.
I agree, man. Getting to work with them on a regular basis, all those guys, it's definitely life changing.
Yeah,
that's for dang sure. And let's see here. So we got open enrollment coming up. So let's give some folks some advice as to when they should start really diving into this, because the line can get long towards the deadline.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's a tough spot to be in. You want to take care of everybody, but you can't sometimes.
Yeah.
So we always let people know that you want to beat the rush. And get ahead of that stuff. So let's talk it from 2 points. So let's talk about it from the customer perspective. All right.
Yep. So from a Medicare and ACA, even a group health, because we do a bunch of group health nationally, start shopping or get with your rep when you can legally get with your rep. And if we're bothering you on the 15th of the month for Medicare or, the beginning of December or whatever the case may be, pick up the phone, please, because we're just trying to help you. And if you don't lock it in, you can be screwed, maybe, right? For the next year, because these plans are ever changing and ever evolving. And we have tons of clients that meet with us for 15 minutes and we're like, you're good. We'll see you next year.
That's right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be long. And we're not we're not there to ram products down your throat either. We're just trying to assess the situation. It's simple. From an agent standpoint, I hope you're selling upfront products in the summertime, like in terms of cash flow, life, annuities, whatever the case may be, because you should be going balls to the wall over open enrollment. And depending on what products you're selling, you're not getting paid till January, February, or March.
That's right.
So make sure you're putting in the time now so you can put in the time later, because our agents, you watch them all the time. The good ones, they'll put a bunch of money away and they'll go ham dingus during open enrollment. And the ones that don't will write like 10 to 15 apps and being like, this renewal game is terrible. No, you're terrible. You know what I mean? So make sure you're stocking up leading into open enrollment, because it should be an all-out sprint. You can celebrate and screw around after it's over.
That's right. That's right. The we used to for the longest time, I just we didn't Christmas shop till December 16th. Like life was on hold for that time, because it was like it was awesome, quite honestly. Like it was such a rush, man. You know, the best agents, some of the best agents were like, they spend the night in the office sometimes, even 100%. Just to be able to get up and rock and roll. They're taking advantage of all those time zones.
Yeah.
So it's literally like a 12, 14-hour day that they could produce. And dude, it's a rush, man. I think you can find joy in just about anything if you look hard enough.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love that phrase too. Also too, when you're going ballistic in terms of like whether you're having a win week, and this is not just for insurance, it's for any salesperson out there. Set aside, like I set a personal goal a couple of years ago to write $150,000 in a month in life, which is a lot of life insurance premium. I failed. I wrote like 115, 116, but great, it was still great. Good month, right? Multiply that by your comp. It's not bad. But even doing that for 4 straight weeks, I set aside one day for just family, for just screw around, for just going out to dinner, for just doing nothing, decompress, go play Call of Duty, whatever you want to do, but set aside one day a week where you can hit the reset button and then literally go ballistic the next 6 days for that week. And that's important for open enrollment too, because you want to make it till the end, and it's exhausting. Take Thanksgiving, take maybe one day a week or a half day a week to do absolutely nothing and not say the words Medicare or ACA or whatever, and then get back into it. Hitting the reset button is really important.
That's right, man. It's so important when folks are getting groomed and getting to learn from somebody like you, that just because you've walked in their shoes already, you've lived the life, and you found, again, you wouldn't be where you're at without a whole bunch of happy customers and satisfied customers on the other side. And that's the big win. That's at the end of the day, that is the purpose, right?
Yep.
All right, Pete. So two final questions here. So the first one's a little bit of fun. We talked about before we started shooting the show today, all the stuff that a lot of the stuff my wife and I have gotten into, and all those things. What's next for you? Is this something you're just all about, and then you're going to just grow this sucker and be the biggest in the industry that they've ever seen? Are you wanting to do some other things? Like what's in the future for old Pete?
Yeah, the initial goal is to scale to exit at some point. I don't foresee me doing that for maybe a decade or 15 years, unless something crazy happens. Right? There's no such thing as too much money. So if someone wants to buy me for a bajillion, it's all good. But a couple key components on my long-term goal sheet is I do want to build a theater in my community. There are a couple there, but not a great program for kids up and coming through the ranks. I ran my high school alma mater's musical theater program for 4.5 years. Loved the process, but it's a payless job. So you got to have money in order to do fun stuff like that. So that's important. And then I kind of want to get into maybe a bar restaurant type thing locally in town eventually. Again, it takes money to continuously make money. But this, I think, like any business that you start for yourself, is the means to the next one. I watch a lot of entrepreneurs and stuff like that, like yourself, Bert, Brad. You start getting into all these other things, because when money's just coming to your mailbox, you're not going to sit and just consume it. That's what I mean? You got to move on to the next one. So I'm always thinking of new businesses, new fun things to do, new things to invest in, etc. But first and foremost is definitely ATIG, at least for right now.
No doubt.
Yeah, pay the most attention to the agents. My short-term goal is to get 1,000 people making $100,000.
Oh man,
or more. So that's the immediate, probably in the next 2 to 3 years, because it's way more important for me for the paycheck to happen than the level of production. You hear agency managers, oh, we do this many apps or this much product. How much do your agents make?
Sure.
You know what I mean? So if we had 1,000 doing 100,000, I'm going to be okay and they'll all be okay.
Dude, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Dude, I got to say, man, I was really excited to get to hang with you today.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
Just because of the authenticity, and like, it's the perfect combination of killer instinct and confidence, but also like the authenticity and just ethics of doing it for the right reasons.
I appreciate it.
You know what I mean? So you are a rare breed in the space, brother. A rare breed. And I love, by the way, your hometown. Like when I was playing minor league ball, the New Jersey Jackals was a team
No
we played
way.
against all the time.
Wow.
That's right.
Yep.
And I always hit good there.
Nice.
I think they got a new stadium now.
They did. Yeah.
The old place was cool. I liked the old place, but I loved it up there. I don't even remember the name of the bar in Hoboken that we used to go to all the time.
Oh, it's probably somewhere on Washington Street for sure.
It sure was. I just remember you could see Manhattan across the river. Man, it was beautiful.
Yeah, great spot.
So I loved it. Do you spend much time up there? You go there often?
Try to go back every once in a while. My parents moved down to Wilmington, which is cool. So built-in babysitter, which is always nice, and it's nice to be around the family. My sister's in Charleston, so now everybody's kind of close,
Gotcha.
and my brother's in Virginia, so they're like halfway between the two. But I do miss a good bagel and slice of pizza every once in a while, so I got to fly up at least every 6 months, visit friends, extended family, and then get something good to eat.
All right,
go see a Broadway show.
I didn't know I was going to ask this question. It'll be fun. So we're taking. My wife's never been to New York.
No way.
And at big Yankee fans. So my son's birthday present, we're going to take him up when they play Boston later this season. Okay?
Nice.
All right, and I've been telling her. I was like, dude, New York has pizza, pizza.
Yeah.
So do you have a place that we need to check out that you recommend even if it's in the Jersey side?
Really, any I think Two Brothers is the one that's all over the place in Manhattan. Like you can throw a rock and hit one, and it's probably still like $3, and it's awesome.
Two Brothers,
awesome pizza. Cousins is another good one. If you want a pizza place, they're all over the place. If you venture over to the Jersey side, my favorite Italian restaurant in the entire planet is Cafe Bello in Bayonne. So if you want to take the PATH train over just for dinner and head back. It's Bello. Sponsor me, Cafe Bello. I've been going there since I was like 6 years old. But amazing. If Lorenzo still works there, ask for him. He's like the best waiter on the planet. But really authentic Italian. If you like tiramisu, I'm a tiramisu connoisseur. It's the best on the planet.
Let's go.
And they give you, espresso with rock candy, white tablecloths. Very Italian.
I love it.
Yeah.
The Hit Streak is powered by RAC Financial. When it comes to your credit card merchant processing, RAC Financial is efficient, reliable, and trusted. At the end of the day, when it comes to processing your credit card payments, they make it simple, the way it's supposed to be. Check out RAC Financial.
Pete, any final thoughts, man, as we bring this sucker to a close here? Anything you want to talk about that is coming up on the calendar, or just any basic, just good advice for everybody?
Just based on your audience and watching a bunch of episodes, I just want, people come here for motivation, maybe to form a new career, whatever the case may be. Whatever you're doing right now, or whatever you're thinking about taking the plunge on doing, just do it. You can always go back, whether you're a W-2 employee, whether you're slinging ice cream, whether you're broke as shit, you can always go backwards, but it's very hard to propel yourself forward. So if you have an idea, a dream, a vision, it's slightly corny, but if you really want it, you can go get it. And not everybody wants to be a billionaire or a multimillionaire. Maybe your goal is to make $80,000 a year and have your time back. Go do it. It's not that hard. If you have a mentor, get with them. If you need a mentor, call Nick, call myself, whatever the case. I answer my own DMs. So if you DM me on Instagram, I will respond to you.
Fact.
Yep. But whatever you're doing or thinking about doing, jump into it, because you can always go backwards. Like people are looking for like a fallback plan all the time. Your fallback plan is your current lifestyle for sure. Your current job, your current living situation, whatever the case may be. So you can always fall back on that, because you'll just be where you started.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger said, Plan B is the death of Plan A.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, folks, once again, Pete Fournier, check him out at petefournier.com. That's where you can enroll in his coaching program. You can set up interviews, all those things, and on Instagram at Peter J. Fournier.
Yep.
Right. And again, he does answer his DMs. I can speak to that personally, right? Because that's how we connected the first time, right? So, once again, that's Instagram, Peter J. Fournier. Dude, Pete, it was I knew that this was going to be really, really good, man, but this is killer. Dude, first of all, I'm going to offer you some advice and be like, dude, you need to be doing 2 of these a week.
I know. We got to talk about that offline for sure.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, anything that we can do to help, and obviously anytime you're ever in Nashville, the studio is here, man.
Thank you so much.
Give me a shout, full access. If you need to interview anybody yourself or just shoot some content while you're in town.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, dude. So, well, dude, congratulations on all your success. Congratulations to everybody that gets to work with you.
Thank you. You as well. It's been awesome watching the rise of this show for sure.
It's been a ride for sure, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really didn't know what was going to happen when we started it, and then it kind of just took off, and it's been such a blessing, dude.
That's great.
You know what I mean? So, well, dude, thanks again for the hang today and the new friendship, brother.
I appreciate it. Folks,
once again, Pete Fournier, the founder and CEO of All Things Insurance Group, sought after insurance coach and keynote speaker, right? So I'm glad you guys enjoyed that episode. Folks, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of The Hit Streak. I am your man, Nick Hyder. God bless.